Today, we're going to talk about something AI is doing that's flying completely under the radar. It's a change that goes way beyond the usual chatter about jobs and creativity.
When you hear AI, this is probably the first thing that pops into your head, right? Automation, what's going to happen to our jobs, the future of work. It's a huge and honestly a really important conversation. And then, of course, there's the other big one. We're all seeing this incredible AI art, music, and writing, and it makes us wonder, what does it even mean to be an artist anymore? That's also a totally valid thing to be talking about. But there's something deeper happening, something much more fundamental that almost no one is talking about. It's not about what AI is helping us do, it's about how it's literally rewiring the one tool we use to experience everything, our own attention.
And this is a really big deal. This isn't just some minor side effect we can ignore. Why? Because what we choose to pay attention to, well, that ends up defining who we are. And right now, without us even realizing it, we're handing over the controls. So, to really get what's at stake here, we have to be super clear on what attention actually is. And trust me, it's way more than just focusing. Okay, think of it like this. Your attention is basically the bouncer at the front door of your mind. You've got millions of things trying to get in every second. Sights, sounds, thoughts. Attention is the one standing there deciding who gets on the list. And whatever it lets in, that becomes the raw material for your entire reality. And this slide right here, this shows you the chain reaction perfectly. It's so simple, but so powerful. What you attend to is what you end up thinking about. What you think about eventually shapes how you act. And your actions, repeated over and over, literally build who you are. You see that? Control that very first link, attention, and you control the entire chain. Now, for almost all of human history, that chain was managed in a totally different world. Let's take a look at how AI just came in and completely flipped the script. This slide nails the difference. In what we're calling the old world, you had things like friction, boredom, and scarcity. Now, those might sound like bad things, but they were actually incredibly useful. Friction, like having to physically go to a library, gave you time to think. Boredom, well, boredom is where creativity is born. And scarcity forced you to actually choose what was important. Now look at the AI world. Zero friction, zero boredom, just pure saturation. And this is the heart of the whole problem. Our brains are basically ancient hardware. They were built over thousands and thousands of years for a world where information was rare and finding something new was a huge advantage. Now we've taken that scarcity-seeking brain and dropped it into an endless ocean of information. It's just not built for this. And what happens when you overload the system? It fragments. You stop making deliberate, thoughtful choices about where to put your focus. Instead, your brain just defaults to its most basic survival mode, reacting. Reacting to the next notification, the next bright, shiny object the algorithm dangles in front of you. You're not the pilot anymore. You're just a passenger along for the ride. So let's get into the mechanics of this. How is this slow fade of focus actually happening? How is our brain being trained day in and day out? There's a perfect term for this state, coined by a writer named Linda Stone. Continuous partial attention. You know this feeling. It's having a dozen tabs open in your browser and in your brain. You feel busy, you feel connected, but nothing is really sinking in. It's like you're in this huge ocean of data, but you're dying of thirst for real understanding. And living in that state constantly has some pretty serious consequences. As you can see here, our ability to solve tough problems gets weaker because we just don't stick with anything long enough. We get less and less tolerant of that feeling of confusion that's absolutely necessary for learning. Our own inner compass starts to fade away, and instead we just feel this constant low-level anxiety. And maybe the scariest one, deep thinking starts to feel like hard work, while just scrolling feels easy. So this is probably the most important point I want you to hear. If any of this sounds familiar, it is not a personal failure. You are not weak, you are not undisciplined. You are a human with a biological brain going up against the most powerful attention-grabbing technology ever designed. Your attention isn't just wandering off, it's being actively managed by somebody else. But that doesn't mean we're screwed. Not at all. The answer isn't to throw away our phones and go live in a cave. The answer is to start treating attention like what it is now, a skill. And just like any other skill, it's something you have to train. So how do we actually do that? Well, here are 3 simple ideas. First, bring back some of that friction.
Before you automatically type a question into an AI or a search bar, just pause. Let your own brain wrestle with it for a minute. Second, create little sanctuaries for your mind. Places or times where nothing is trying to grab your attention. Maybe it's a walk without your phone or a room with just books. And third, you have to make a conscious choice to go deep instead of fast. Read the whole article, not just the headline. Have the long, messy conversation instead of just firing off the quick text.
This quote really just sums it all up, doesn't it? In the world we're heading into, access to information, what we used to call intelligence, is going to be everywhere, and it's going to be cheap. The truly rare, the truly valuable resource is going to be focused, sustained attention.
And that all comes down to this one question. Because remember that chain we talked about? What you pay attention to becomes who you are. So in a world where everyone and everything is fighting for a piece of your mind, deciding who's in control is probably the most important decision you'll ever make.